Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers Postgame, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games. This is Flyperbole himself, Steve Jaco. Steve, I just have one question. How much did this team hate John Tortorella?
Oh my God.
Now, so they come out today. They score 7 goals, matching their season high. They had 7 against Minnesota in October.
And isn't that what they got scored against by the Toronto Maple Leafs?
It is.
Yeah.
They scored 6 in each of the first 2 games out of the Four Nations break. That was, like, remember, McDavid was dead coming out of that. We had him on, I think, Saturday. And Crosby was dead coming out of that. We had him on Sunday.
You hate to see it.
These last 2 games, these post-Tortorella, these are the 2 biggest games. 13 goals is in 2 is the biggest of any season streak of at least 2 games. Like, what the hell has happened to this team that now suddenly they're an offensive force? The power play is converting. Matvei Michkov is unleashed. Tyson Foerster and Owen Tippett are scoring again. What has happened to this team in, like, maybe at the worst possible time?
You know, it's funny because this game happens a month and a half ago. We're starting with the woos.
Yeah.
We're doing the woo because
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun, right? Like, we should have had a lot of fun watching that hockey game, and I still had a good amount of fun watching that.
Watching Matvei Michkov score goals is inherently fun.
Dude, and Tyson Foerster had a clap bomb today. Owen Tippett. Like, guys were unleashing the slap shot today, and it was fun. It was a fun hockey game.
Slap shot is, like, just such a fun.
It's so satisfying.
It's the best part of, like, yeah.
One of my favorite goals of the year was that Scott Lawton breakaway slap shot.
Absolutely.
It was killer. But, I mean, it seemed pretty obvious that these guys have been pressing and miserable and are just having fun. They're also playing bad teams. I mean, Montreal's mid at best. Buffalo's a bad team. Like, they are playing bad teams, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. This is probably what they should have done to the Chicago Blackhawks, if we're being totally honest. But there is definitely some relief there. You know, they're no longer dealing with Tortorella breathing down their necks, forcing defensive hockey down their throats.
Yeah.
They're having fun. They're wide open. I mean, Michkov just constant today. What did his shot total end at? I think he was at 5.
I think he had 5 or 6. I know he has 11 over the last 2 games. It's absolutely insane.
It's ridiculous, and it's a little frustrating to think that maybe he was being held back in some regards to the offense throughout the year. He learned a lot of lessons from Tortorella. This is something we've all talked about at length at this point.
Sure.
We'll continue to talk about because it is a big story, but ultimately, like, it does feel like he's been unleashed and is just showing the world exactly who Matvei Michkov is, and that's a damn good hockey player.
The team as a whole just seems freer, and this is something I want to ask Charlie. It's not like they're not playing defense. They held Buffalo to 21 shots. They had a good performance yesterday as well.
And by the way, 21 shots, 4 goals. So the Flyers goaltending still top notch.
Sam Ersson is going to finish the season with like an .875 save percentage. It's insane. But like they're playing pretty well. They're just like converting their chances now, which they haven't. And on one hand, it's like we've said all along, as much as I need them to lose and get the good pick, when it's Tyson Foerster, when it's Matvei Michkov, like when Cam York and Jamie Drysdale are contributing, like this is kind of what we need too.
Yeah,
but at this point, it's like, what are we doing, boys? Where was this in January, February, and March? Like, why couldn't
crushed under the boot heels of John Tortorella?
I suppose that
can you imagine playing for Torts? Honestly, it sounds terrible.
Maybe he really was. You know, is he really the right coach for a rebuild when he just squeezes every last bit out of a team? And it's like he squeezed their soul out to the point that they just didn't want to play for. Maybe he was the right coach because they have been a little bit like unleashed under Brad Shaw. And now again, it is bad teams, but these are teams that they are competing in, you know, the Tankathon sweepstakes with. And like we called today, a must lose, and they come out and they put up 7. Matvei Michkov has 2 goals. Like,
Michkov from the start.
I'm very torn
today.
I'm very torn about what we're seeing out of this team because a lot of these players, we do need to be good, either so they're good for us or they have value in a trade. But also, man, I really had my mind set on like Schaefer or Misa or Higgins.
I mean, you still could get them, right?
You could.
They're still probably going to finish bottom 5. The nice thing with Buffalo too is while this sucks, they still have games in hand. But man, I mean, I think a lot of it is Torts. I think getting rid of that influence on the team. And, you know, it's a shame as far as the tank goes, because I actually don't think they win these last 2 games if he's still in there.
The way things were trending, you might have had like a strike if he was still their coach.
But like, I also, from everything I've heard at this point, it sounds like the Flyers absolutely had to part ways with Tortorella. Like, it was just unsustainable at this point. And look, yeah, I'm torn. I'm absolutely torn. I want the Flyers to get elite talent at the top of the draft. But man, it's just fun watching Flyers hockey, like what we saw today. Seeing Matvei Michkov score just like awesome goals out there. Seeing Forrester, seeing Tippett, who we've been disappointed in Tippett. Tippett has not shown us a ton this year. Tippett looked awesome today. Tippett was flying out there.
He looked like Owen Tippett for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I loved seeing it. Finally getting that power play goal, which it's nuts to think that a guy who is easily one of your top 4 forwards on the team, and so a guy we expected to take an evolution goal scoring wise. I placed a bet at the beginning of the season, right, for Michkov and Tippett to score 60 plus together, right? Thinking it's probably not going to happen, but it could because Michkov looked good in preseason. And I never thought that Michkov would be the one drastically outscoring Tippett in that regard. And just no power play goals until today. Very good to see him get that today.
Well, that's, we've been talking about Tippett's scoring numbers, and it's definitely a disappointing season. Charlie and I have gone back and forth on, like, who's been your biggest disappointment this year? And to me, it's Owen Tippett. He said Sam Ersson, and while, like, I wanted Ersson to kind of grab the reins, I had no idea. I just thought it was a good opportunity to find out if he could be a number 1, and we'll find out the answer. The answer is no.
Well, they're 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah, like... but like
it might be 1A and 1B.
I didn't have like an idea in my head of what I thought Sam Ersson was. I was going to use this year to find out. And like Owen Tippett, 2022-23, he has 27 goals, 49 points. Last season, 28 goals, 53 points. Okay, I think I know who he is. I think he's an almost 30-goal scorer, 50-point guy.
Very useful player.
Makes sense in my head, and if he can take a step forward, that contract goes from being fine to value. And it just hasn't happened. But now you look, he has 20 goals. His first one on the power play today, like he had 8 a couple of years ago, 5 last season. It's not like this is a good power play. We know it's bad.
Oh, it's one of the worst.
He at least had some, and you boost the numbers. Like,
well, he's also part of the reason it's one of the worst, right? Because you're not getting production from one of your most talented offensive players. We've seen what Owen Tippett can do on a good day, and that's a maze. Like, he can score spinorama. He can go top shelf where mama keeps the cookies. He can go to all those great areas, and he just has not been that player for the vast majority of the season.
It's why I hate the idea of, like, giving up on him. Now, listen, if there's a hockey trade to be made or something where you can improve another part of this team because we do have so many wingers, yeah, all right, you do it. But he just has so many tools.
So many.
Like, he just has, like, the speed and the shot and the size and the different ways he can score, and you just don't see them consistently enough. But right now we're seeing everyone kind of firing, and that's what we're getting out of this offense. But it's the headline is Matvei Michkov. It is.
It has to be.
This is the Mish show right now, and it's not as if he wasn't productive under Torts. Part of the streak that he's on, he has 9 points in his last 5 games. Well, Torts was here for some of those, but now he has back-to-back, Matvei Michkov, back-to-back 2-goal games on hat-trick watch for the majority of the last 2 games. He is the first Flyers rookie to record consecutive 2-goal games since Dave Poulin in March of '84. Lindros,
that's as old
Renberg.
As me. Yeah. I'm not even, literally, I was born in March of '84. That's as old as me.
It was like, it's been a little over 37 years. Like, it was like March 15th and 17th or something. Like, it's been forever.
not even kidding.
Yeah.
March 15th, '84. Okay.
That's when I think that was the first of the streak. He's the first Flyers rookie to do that. And I know he's been pretty impressive all year. He had that little stretch where he had like 6 points in 20-some games, and it was like, oh, man, he's really slumping. He was tired. But this is another thing. Like, we made so much of the schedule is just really wearing him down, and he's exhausted. And coming out of Four Nations, you could see he was like re-energized. And then, the calendar switches to March, and we look at that schedule and go, man, that is a condensed schedule. That is a ton of games and not a lot of days. Is he going to wear down again? Well, it's March 29th, and he's on his best run of the year. At least since those first 27 games where he was a point-a-game player, he is well ahead of that in the last 5. He's been excellent this month. It is so exciting to see Michkov getting the ice time, taking advantage of it, and he just, I don't know. Maybe we're reading into it because it's what we want to see or what we think we see.
There's no reading into it,
but he just looks freer, right? It's not like he wasn't scoring before, but it just looks so much more fun right now.
I mean, look at the shot totals for these 2 games without Tortorella. 6 shots last game, 5 shots today. He looks wide open.
Scored on his first 2 shots today.
Yeah, and that backhand goal was just filth. Just absolute filth. And I loved it. Look, you talk about the tank all you want, right? But if you're not excited about Matvei Michkov scoring a backhand goal like that, you have no soul. What are you doing watching hockey if you're not excited about that? That's awesome. That's the coolest stuff. I'm so psyched. And if he had come out, if he had scored the hat trick, I would have insisted on the woos today.
Yes.
The woos would have happened.
Oh, this would have been a Matvei Michkov hat trick show. We wouldn't have talked about anything else.
By the way, it's the Matt trick when it happens.
It's the Matt trick. I like it.
Okay.
I like it. But that's part of if Travis Konecny comes out and has a 4-point day, he scores, okay, cool. But
sure, he's 27.
It doesn't do anything for me. The fact that Michkov is kind of the catalyst for this, and that the team is rallying around him, and Bradshaw knows the assignment. He gets him out with the empty net yesterday. He's got him out for one more shift today at the end with 30 seconds left. Yeah. He came off with a minute 40, minute 30. And JJ and Bush are that's probably it. Inside of 2 minutes, we're going to roll some guys. They have the big lead. And then he comes out on a different line. It's okay. He gets give him one more chance. Get him that one more at bat,
And he wants it.
And he clearly is going for it.
He's clearly going for it.
And his teammates are trying to get it for him.
His teammates are trying to get it for him. And look, you could talk about guys being more concerned with statistics than the team winning, blah, blah.
What the hell's left?
Him. That ain't him, number one. He is a guy who hates losing. You can tell. But also, he likes going for it. My favorite thing about Matvei Michkov, he has an edge. He has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to be the best in the game in a way that you don't often see with hockey players, and specifically Philadelphia Flyers, because it's a very humbling sport. It's a lot of oh, yeah, you got to give it up for the team effort, all that, blah, blah, blah. This dude wants to be the best. He wants to be a legendary Flyer. And man, you need that attitude with this franchise. You're building a franchise back up from what they've been over the past 15 years. This is how you do it. This is the guy you center it around, a guy who just wants to be the best.
And it's really great to see. And he's been putting on a show. And that's another part of while this is a little, are they really going to blow a top 5 pick?
Oh, yeah.
Is that really what's going to happen?
100%.
The fact that Michkov is the one doing it, and the fact that he's the one doing it in front of the home crowd, kind of putting on this show the last few nights, it's hard to be mad about that specifically. And with that in mind, maybe you want to go check out the Flyers live. Well, you got to do it with Game Time. Listen, I've been telling you for a couple of years now, Game Time is the best secondary ticket marketplace on the whole internet. I love using Game Time for so many of its features and for so many events, not just sports, not just hockey, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it, Game Time has it. But, our Flyguys, 3 home games left. In 2 days, they take on the Preds on April 12th. They are home against the Isles, and in the penultimate game of the season, they take on the Columbus Blue Jackets on April 15th. You want to go check out Matvei Michkov because maybe you get to be there live for that first match trick. And if you're going to do it, you got to do it with Game Time. And use features like Game Time Picks The curation makes it easy to find the best deals, filters out the fluff so you only see the absolute best deals on the best seats. You also get the all-in pricing, so there's no surprises when you get to checkout, and no surprises when you get to the venue when you use the seat view option. Whatever you're doing, you got to use Game Time for your tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And while we're here, it's time to talk Bet365. Right now, our presenting sponsor, listen, it's in the middle of the games. The awards markets usually come down during games. We got to jump in and find Matvei Michkov before his odds just totally go to hell, because it sounds as if at other sports books, maybe they're going a little wild. We have to wait for Bet365, and that makes sense. They're going to take the time, reassess, and we'll see where it goes. But we have to get in on Mish, and we won today on the Owen Tippett anytime goal. It doesn't look like they took it away and gave it to Ryan Poulin, which would have driven me absolutely insane after taking Poulin 2 games ago. And he doesn't score. If he were to take Owen Tippett's goal, I would lose my mind. But whatever you're betting on, I suggest you make Bet365 your sports book of choice. And we have that breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, whether your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And you see the way this is going. And does Montreal play tonight, perhaps? Is that what's going to...
Well, you go find that out. I'll just say in the meantime, you mentioned why you have to be mad. And that is what a famous scholar once asked the media. Why you have to be mad? Don't be mad, guys. Enjoy. I know it's frustrating to not get that top pick, but enjoy Matvei Michkov. He is a joy. He is bringing joy to our lives in a way that nobody has recently, and we need this. We need joy in our lives as Flyers fans. Okay, it's a long time till the Eagles start again. The Phillies are always an enigma. We'll see. I mean, they should be good. They should.
And that's the Habs don't play until tomorrow, so at least for today. Mish is tied for the rookie lead in points at 56 with Lane Hutson. And he has now 24 goals, which is the lead over Macklin Celebrini by 3. And it is also the Flyers team lead, tied with Travis Konecny, which is honestly, he had 21 he had 20 after 41 games.
It's wild.
And I want to I know we've made a big deal about TK's lack of goal scoring in this second half. It's been a struggle for him, but he picks up a couple of assists today, TK, and that gets him to 47 assists for the season, 10 more than his previous career high with 7 games to go now. He's going to have a 50 assist season, and while you think of TK, what do you think of? I think of goals on the rush. 2-on-1, takes it himself and buries it right between the glove and the pad. Absolutely. But this ability to pick up, create offense, whether it's on the rush, on the power play, in the zone, whatever it is, making a defensive play and getting the puck up to Michkov. This is offense that I was never counting on from TK, and it's pretty impressive just in terms of a team that never scores. I realize they've put out numbers the last 2 games, but Owen Tippett had his first power play goal today. It's March the 29th. This team never scores, and when they do, it's quite often TK, and he's going to end up having a 50 assist season. That's pretty freaking impressive for him as well.
It's really impressive, and I've heard guys talk before about him having underrated skills. I know Austin Matthews talked about him being underrated.
Yeah.
We've heard about his passing being underrated. I forget exactly who said that before, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? 50 assists is nothing to sneeze at. That's a heck of a year from TK. And it's a shame that he's not on the pace he was earlier in the season. I mean, at one point he had a 90-plus point season pace.
At the 41 game mark, he was on pace for 40 goals and 90 points.
But regardless, he's still having a really, really nice year. I mean, it's his best season in the NHL. And I mean, he's shown you that he is a valuable player for this team moving forward. We did see a 2-on-1 today, but he didn't get a chance to take a shot at all because killer Matvei took that shot. And, it was the one good piece of advice towards Gabe before he left was telling TK to just shoot.
Rip it, man.
Shoot.
Just rip it.
Rip it.
That is what you are best at, despite, and Mish also has 30 plus assists. So it's not as if he's struggled in playmaking.
No.
But these two are goal scorers. Like, that is what they do. So score the goal.
Nice to have the two talented guys playing together, Bill.
Man, you know what they could use? A playmaking center.
Sure could.
It is funny the way things go, all those years of Claude Giroux. Like, can we just get him someone who can shoot the puck into the net? And they were like, we gave you Michael Raffle.
Here's a Matt Reed for you.
Now we could really use that guy who just sets it up a little bit. That would be something.
Should have kept. No, I'm kidding. You had to make that move.
Speaking of guys whose job it is to put the puck in the net, it is time for the Ace Hardware temperature check. Let's take a look at which Flyer is heating up or cooling off with our Ace Hardware temp check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. And I'm going to get to Owen Tippett because we have been tough on him, especially recently on the show. I think some other players' struggles, like TK, for instance, kind of masked, like, what's going on with Owen Tippett? Scores his first goal in 10 games today, scores his first power play goal of the season, 3 shots on goal and a hit, so clearly a lot more engaged than he's been the last few games. I talked about it in pregame earlier, like, dude, I don't even know if you played last game. The Flyers scored 6 goals. I thought Poulin and Peltier were pretty good, and you were on their line, allegedly, and I don't know if I heard his name on the broadcast once. Today, he gets it going a little bit. Just looked more like himself. He gets the goal, and that's great, but he was trying to dance a little with the puck. He was trying to rush the puck, use the speed, use the stick handling. 3 shots, that's kind of, when he has 3 or more, it's like, okay, now this is what I expect from you. When it's 2 or fewer, and that's, I think, 9 of the previous 14 games, he had 2 or fewer shots. Bro, that's not your job. Your job is to rip pucks at the goalie. Uh-huh. He did it today to more effect, and we see what can happen. Puts one in, finally scores a power play goal.
That temperature's rising, baby. It's going up there. No, this was really nice to see from him. I mean, when he's at his best, he has speed that's unmatched on this team. And frankly, one of the fastest Flyers I've flat out ever seen is Owen Tippett. So it's a valuable asset when they have it.
And now we turn it over to someone who's always at their best. It's the coach killer himself, Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, I'm just joking. Thoughts on the game and any interesting quotes?
Yeah, I would say there were definitely interesting quotes. Brad Shaw is a different feel, let's say, than John Tortorella. Said a couple interesting things after the game. Number one being the fact that he actually said he apologized to Sam Ersson because he said that that he should not have in that final power play. He should not have gone with the 5-forward setup because he knew that the other team, that the Sabres, were going to be pressuring heavily to try to score, and he felt like by going with that 5-forward power play setup that he kind of left Sam Ersson hung out to dry, and he apologized to his goalie for that. Said he'll never do it again. He joked that, it shouldn't have taken that for me to realize that, but it did, and I've learned my lesson. And then Shaw was asked basically, like, is it lighter now with you versus Torts? And Shaw said, look, you're scoring goals. Obviously, everybody's going to feel better when you're finally scoring. But also, like, yeah, I have a different personality than Torts, and maybe that leads to lighter feelings on the bench. And I don't think anything he said was terribly controversial. I think we all know that it's true. But it was notable that he said it because, I mean, I wasn't sure if he was just going to, brush aside the idea that anything's changed, even though we all know that something big has changed. But he basically said, too, and I thought this was very interesting because this was a clear distinction between Shaw and Tortorella. He said, and I'm reading this from the automatic transcriber that I use, so it might not be perfect quote, but it's pretty close. Says, I think our job as in coaches, is to pump energy into that room, help them get through these last 7 games, try and build something positive. If that's the mentality that he's having, that very much tells me that was not the mentality that John Tortorella had. And that's the big distinction between the two. I mean, we walk down to the locker room and they're clapping for like 3-4 minutes straight, like in unison, and then singing happy birthday to Travis Sanheim. Like, this is a group that suddenly isn't miserable anymore. And it's pretty easy to connect the dots as to why they're not miserable anymore.
Like the idea that it's lighter, like obviously that makes sense. I felt on Thursday they just seemed more free on the ice. Yeah. Now they gave up 30 shots, and like the Habs are considerably better than Buffalo, but it's not as if they're not defending. Like they only allow 21 shots today. 4 goals, not great, but like they only give up the 21 shots. Is there a different, are they playing just a little differently in your eyes? Is it just more jump? Is it just, hey, it's more fun when they score, so it's going to look like they're having more fun? Like, is it tangible, or you think maybe we're reading into a little bit more on the ice? Specifically,
there really is. There's been no changes tactically. I mean, if you're talking about changes, like, yeah, they've made some changes to the D pairs. Obviously, this time they actually ran with 6 defensemen rather than 5, so that helps. But if you're talking about what's changed, number one, yes, the fact that they're finally getting some goals, that helps. Everybody feels better when you're scoring, both players and fans and coaches alike. But it's also just the fact that I think they are playing lighter. They are playing freer. And the switch from John Tortorella to Brad Shaw is a big part of that, because we heard it from Danny Briere. Since the trade deadline, Torts, an already very tightly wound, demanding coach, got even more tightly wound and got even more demanding and more crazy, and it all culminated in the blow up between him and Cam York. Like, yeah, it is probably substantially, let me put it this way, there's so many fewer eggshells on the ground that all of these guys have to avoid stepping on at all times. Now they can just kind of saunter through the room and just be like, yeah, suddenly things are a little bit less tense, a little bit less crazy. And I think that's helping on the ice. I really do.
Chuck, why haven't TK and Michkov been together all year?
I mean, they tried them together at times. I don't think it's ever clicked quite this well. Now, you could certainly make the case that they should have just kept them together regardless and just let them figure it out over time. But it's not as if they didn't try it before. Like, it's not as if Torts didn't try them together. They tried it. It would work, sometimes it would work for a little bit, then it would tail off, then they'd break them up. But this is clearly the best that, I wouldn't say the best that they've both looked. Konecny got off to a fantastic start. Michkov's had really good runs. But it does look like the best line that Michkov has been on. So I guess I disagree fundamentally with the implication under the question that you're asking, but I do acknowledge that, like, this line's playing great hockey right now.
I think, like, on a team like this that is so starved for talent, yeah, I get wanting to spread it around, but we did see it work in some of the iterations. Like,
sure.
The last time they scored 7 against Minnesota, perhaps, like, this line was together and had a huge day. We've seen them have big days. I just think on a team that struggles to score so much, yeah, okay, we could stagger the talent and see if we can roll 3-4 lines, or let's maximize our 2 best players and see if they can win us games. Well, that's kind of what's happening with these two, at least recently. But TK, 47 assists this season, 10 more than his previous career high. We've made a big deal about the lack of goal scoring here in the second half, but what do you make of this increased playmaking? Like, more than ever on a team, like, yes, they've scored the last 2 games, but overall, don't score a ton.
Well, I think number one, he went through that ugly goal drought. And I suspect that when you know that you can't score, or you've convinced yourself that you're just snake bitten and nothing's going your way, you probably pass more. Like, that's probably part of it. Also is, I think, yeah, he's played more with Michkov. Michkov's more of a pure goal scorer. I don't look into it too deep. Like, I don't think this is like, oh, now this is who Travis Konecny is. Next year, Travis Konecny may drop back down to a more normal assist total and score 10 more goals. Like, I don't think this is a sign that he has changed his style dramatically. I just think he's a real good player and he's going to get his points. And this year, his points have come a little bit more on the assist side.
So, Charlie, another great day for Matvei Michkov. 2 goals, said 5+ shots in 2 games without Tortorella. Is he playing a little bit more free post-torts?
I don't know if I see him playing more free. I mean, the big thing is he's getting more minutes, and that obviously is helping. Now, maybe that has an impact on him playing with more confidence. Now he's had 2 straight games. Like last game, he was at 20-29. Tonight, he finished at 19-59, just under 20. I think he's just playing good hockey. And really, if you think about it, like he had 5 points in the final 3 games of Tortorella's tenure. So, like, I don't think this is a Torts thing. I think this is just he's going on one of those runs again because he's a real good player. I think it's really as simple as that.
7 games left, 24 goals. Can he get to 30?
You know, he keeps banging on the door of this hat trick. I have a gut feeling that he's going to score a hat trick before the season ends. And if I think he's going to score a hat trick, that's halfway there already.
Yeah. It's okay. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, Owen Tippett also has had some struggles and finally seemed to break out today. Had a really impressive game. What did you make of Tippett's game?
Yeah, this game was enormous for Owen Tippett because we talked about it after Thursday's game that he wasn't noticeable. This game, he was the best version of Owen Tippett. Somebody in our Discord made this point, and it was a really good point, that the big difference between Owen Tippett last year and Owen Tippett this year is that this year you're not seeing like once every 6 or 7 games Owen Tippett be the best player on the ice. That happened last year. And you watch him and you're like, why can't he do this every night? But he was still doing it. Once every 2 weeks, once every 2.5 weeks, he was having that game. This year, he hasn't had those games. This was that game. This was the game where he looked like the most impactful, most physically dominant player on the ice the entire game. And it's a nice reminder that guy is still in there,
Chuck, now, we all know that you got Tortorella fired with your pointed question. Can you also take credit for Tippett's power play goal, his first of the season, after pointing out less than 24 hours ago right here that he had 0 power play goals?
I will take credit for that. That is Owen Tippett actually did nothing on the play. It was entirely my comment on a show that Owen Tippett almost certainly does not watch. One thing I love about the NBC Sports Philadelphia broadcast, I absolutely love it. I can no longer ever be dinged for jinxing anyone because my jinxing could never be as glaring as them putting the hat trick watch up on their broadcast.
Listen, they do have a couple hat tricks this year. Like, it's happened,
But
just
it's
saying.
Matvei in particular, because
I'm
we all
just
want
saying
it so bad.
That, like, I'm thankful that NBC Sports Philly is taking the hit here because now I can tweet that Michkov, he's almost going to do a hat trick, and people aren't going to get mad at me, or even if they do, I'll just respond with, there's nothing I could do to jinx him more than the friggin' local broadcast that's showing the game that you're watching on TV. So thank you, NBC Sports Philly.
Charlie, Cam York not only was in his equipment and holding a stick today, but he actually stepped onto the ice and played almost 19 minutes worth of professional ice hockey. What'd you see for him in his return to, game action?
Some good, some bad. I thought it seemed like he was activating a little bit more, particularly in the offensive zone on the cycle, and I like to see that. I want to see him being more assertive on the attack, especially with the puck, and I didn't see a ton of that, but I did see him more assertive off puck on the attack. That was good. That said, he wasn't perfect. Like, I don't blame him even a little bit for the goal where Delorier got stripped of the puck along the boards. Like, York activates on that play, and he was right to activate on the play. He actually sends a nice pass over to Ola Lixell. Lixell just kind of misses it, and then they go back down the ice, and Delorier, because he's playing defense to cover for the activation, gets burned in that position. They score. I don't give York, any points deducted for that one. That's a good process, bad result play. The one goal that Jack Quinn had where York's right in front of him trying to poke check him, and Quinn just basically shoots through the poke check. York needs to be a little bit heavier on that one. He needs to, because his stick's in the right spot. It's just that he needs to want that puck a little bit more. There needs to be a little bit more heaviness to that play. So that wasn't great. But I don't think it was a terrible game. It wasn't the wow, man, he's trying to prove everybody wrong game. It was just a little bit more aggressiveness away from the puck. Not perfect. I want to see more from Cam York the rest of the way than he showed tonight. But I don't think he was actively bad or anything.
Charlie, before we get to stars, what do you think?
I was figuring you must have got a haircut because you had the hat on and I couldn't see anything poking out of your hat. So I figured you must have got a haircut. I think it looks good, man.
All right, it is now time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game, presented by Rite Aid. That's right, it's the Rite Aid 3 stars. Charlie, who was today's 3rd star?
3rd star of the game, I'm going to go with Jack Quinn. He was really good in this game. This is a guy who, he's kind of going through the ups and downs of being a young player for the Sabres, but if the Sabres would have won this game, they would have won it because Jack Quinn was basically putting them on his back. So Jack Quinn, Buffalo Sabres, 3rd star of the game.
Should we offer sheet JJ Peterka?
If you can convince him to sign an offer sheet, I'm not opposed to the idea. He's a good player.
I can't imagine anyone would turn down the idea of getting out of Buffalo. All right, star number 2.
Star number 2, I'm going to go with Owen Tippett. Really, really good game for Owen Tippett. It was a relief to see him play as well as he played tonight because it tells me that guy is still in there. You had to believe he was, but it's just been so long since we saw him that you started to wonder what was wrong with Owen Tippett. He's still there. You just got to figure out a way to get him to be that guy a little bit more often, a lot more often, actually, than we've seen this season.
It was bad for Owen Tippett when John Tortorella, who, most recently got in a confrontation with Cam York that got him fired, is telling the media, I don't know, I guess I just got to take it easier on Tippett because he's having a tough time. It was just, he was just going through whatever, the slump, and his buddies getting traded. And it's nice to see him get on the board and just look like himself. The goal, that's great. He was dancing with the puck a little. He was looking to be an impact player today. And God damn it, that's what we need from him. All right, today's 1st star. I really wonder who.
I believe it's one Matvei Michkov. 2 goals, 2nd straight game with 2 goals. I thought he was, not to say he wasn't good in Thursday's game, as you said. Well, you could say he scored 4 goals. I thought he was better tonight or today than he was on Thursday, just in terms of playmaking, in terms of all around impact on the game. I thought Thursday was more like he had a few really, really good shifts. This game I thought was a really, really good game from Matvei Michkov, and easy choice for 1st star.
All right, those are Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game presented by Rite Aid. We'll be back with you next week, but until then, Charlie, enjoy yourself. I feel like you've earned a little rest after the last couple days.
You too. You've done a great job, Bill.
Take it easy, Chuck. That is,
and you too, Steve.
Thanks.
That is Charlie O'Connor, Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, coming to us live from the Wells Fargo following that Flyers 7-4 win over those damn Buffalo Sabres.
Those damn Sabres.
And before we get any further, I got to tell you about a couple of our sponsors. Going to lead it off here with Ace Hardware Home Services, because if you have a leaky pipe at Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. Same goes for air conditioning issues and that faucet you said you'd get to last fall. Listen, you've watched the YouTube video 3 times. You still don't know what you're doing. It's time to call the pros, because now Ace Hardware, they're not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love from the store, now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. While we're here, I got to tell you about Timeline. Maybe that project, okay, the housework, you're going to leave that to the pros at Ace Hardware because you need to take care of yourself. Well, one of the best ways, it's with Timeline. Timeline sells health and longevity supplements featuring their proprietary MitoPure ingredient. MitoPure works with the cells in your body to help reverse age-related decline. And the benefits, which we're already hearing from some of the hosts here at PHLY who've been using Timeline, benefits include increased strength, energy, and endurance. And it makes sense because Timeline has put over 15 years of research into their product, and they've secured over 30 U.S. patents for this, and it's pretty simple. Listen, The cells in our bodies, they're the building blocks of life, and Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells to help give you more energy, feel stronger during workouts, and preserve health and mobility as you start to age. And right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/PHLY today to get started. That's timeline.com/PHLY. All right. Now we get back to, I want to talk a little more about York. We see the total brain fart.
The defensive player,
pairs
York.
Mixed. Yes. The defensive pairs mixed today. That is what I am trying to say.
Yes.
He's out there. It's not him and Sanheim. And I've been wondering, we heard last year when he and Sanheim were just getting a ton of time together, and Sanheim would go on a little run where it's, man, he's all over the ice, and Cam York concentrating more on defense, and then maybe we'd see it go the other way with the deference, one for the other, because, I don't know, maybe you can, but can you have two rovers on the ice at the same time? It might make things a little complicated. I've been hoping to see them split up and see how that goes for a little bit, and I don't think he was great today, but I do want to see York in more of a role where he can kind of be the guy on his pair and see what that leads to.
I want to know who these guys are. That's been one of the most frustrating thing with Tortorella in recent weeks, is that he was just rolling the same lines out there, the same pairs every night. And we're not going to fully find out who guys like Jacob Pelletier scored his first goal as a Flyer today, right? We now are getting an idea of what kind of a player he is. And for some reason, he was not interested in showing us that at all. And with York, I mean, he is getting time out there. He's getting first pair minutes, but he's not, I don't know. It's just different when he's got Sanheim next to him. He's got the most experienced hand defensively next to him, and the Flyers' most talented defender at the end of the day, whatever your opinion on Sanheim is, he is the Flyers' most talented defender. So he's next to him, and it is better to split them up. I was actually really intrigued by the pairings today. I never thought I'd be seeing Nick Seeler getting 21:49 in ice time, playing first pair minutes for the Flyers, but here we are.
This guy is really, to end this season, leaving it all out there for us. I don't expect Nick Seeler to play more than, even second pair minutes, but really, okay, he is a nice bottom pair defenseman, and you see the extra ice time he's getting now as the season winds down. I do think that's twofold. One, you need a steady guy out there, and you're benching Cam York for, basically 2 whole games. Someone has to play, and they don't seem totally interested in giving Emil Andre major minutes right now. And I do think he has struggled a bit in this most recent call up. But it's hard to oh yeah, Nick Seeler, we're going to give him 20. He's willing to do it. He's throwing hits out there. Obviously, we know he's going to block shots, but I just want to see York kind of take those reins back and show me you're the top pair guy. I don't think you are. Really, that's what I want to see out of York, and be more active like you were today. Try stuff. We know Cam York has a very high opinion of himself.
We do, and he must have.
Show me who that is. Show me that guy you think you are. That's what I want from Cam York.
You have to have a pretty high opinion of yourself if you're going nose to nose with John Tortorella and whatever that argument was. And yeah, dude, I remember when Cam York was drafted, he was supposedly a pretty offensively gifted defender. We have not seen much of that from him in recent years. So I would like to see him spread out. I'd like to see a little bit more offense from him and guys like Drysdale. Drysdale had a nice opportunity for a goal earlier today, and that was nice to see. I want to see some more offense from those guys. But yeah, I want to see York branch out on his own and see if he can carry a defensive pairing.
And it is interesting to see, even though you see York out there and he's a little more active, it's with Jamie Drysdale.
Yeah.
He played 14:42 of his minutes tonight were with Drysdale. And while we're talking about things we like to see, I want to see you hit that like button, damn it. Get us to 100 likes. I know there's a bunch of people in here live right now. Charlie's usually the one who remembers to do the like thing. But I'm telling you, I want to like spike. I want to get to triple digits after a big Matvei Michkov game. Say what you will about the tank. We will absolutely get to our tankathon spin in a little bit and all that. But when Michkov scores 2 goals, it's hard to be upset. So let's get a thumbs up from everyone out there. it's funny. We've heard, like, even Brent Flair, like, on the record in interviews with Charlie when they talk about what the D-core is made of. It's like, okay, York, Andre, and Drysdale. It's 3 smaller guys. Can you have them all on a D-core, like, in a playoff series where we think bigger defenses win? Maybe not. Like, that's what the organization has told us multiple times. But today, you have York and Drysdale together for like 15 minutes, and it doesn't go poorly.
No,
now it is Buffalo.
It is Buffalo. It is true. I mean, they're 2 equally matched teams if you look at the standings, right? I would argue the Flyers are the better team on paper, but then again, the Flyers also sold a bunch of guys at the deadline and clearly are paying for it. And, they also are without Ristolainen, who was a big part of this defense for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Now he's off in the negative zone or the phantom
Ellis
zone or
Island,
somewhere.
baby.
Ellis Island, yeah. He's just gone and nowhere to be found. So your big defensive piece, because now the biggest guy on the defense is probably Sanheim, who's like...
He's the tallest, definitely.
He's the tallest. I mean, Sealer plays the biggest. Which is probably... I was trying to figure out why Shaw put Sealer on the top, and I'm sure it was just for the physicality aspect, What was that one moment early in the game when somebody was like, he blocked somebody from coming in, but they both went tumbling to the ice? But the thing is, like, he does bring more of a physical element than any of those other guys because that's the game he plays, and none of those other guys really play that game.
They clearly don't trust Zamula or Andre with anything but third pair minutes at this point. And then it's just, okay, how do we want to arrange these 4? Without Ristolainen, it's how do we want to arrange these 4? Doesn't matter. They're all going to play about 20 minutes. I think Sanheim still played like 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
today.
no, he did.
Yeah, 25-10 for Sanheim. Sealer is under 22. Drysdale 19:01, York 18:53. The other 2 are under 15 minutes.
Pretty
Like
big day for Drysdale right there. I gotta say.
that's a big one for Drysdale. But
I'm not a big believer in plus minus. I've heard it debunked left and right, but a +1 day for York and Drysdale each. So I'm guessing they didn't have a terrible, terrible day out there.
And a day you give up 4, like, it makes sense. You could have a bad day, and they didn't. So that's nice to see. All right, it is time for today's keyword. You know the drill at this point. For the final 10 post games, I'm going to give away 1 free PHLY Flyers t-shirt to 1 lucky listener. All you have to do is DM the keyword from postgame to either the PHLY Flyers Twitter or the PHLY Flyers Blue Sky. Today's keyword, it's haircut. I am a selfish egomaniac, and we're gonna make it very easy. We're gonna make it about me. I thought the last one we did, which was fired, was like you could have guessed that.
Too on the nose.
You didn't have to watch the show to guess the keyword was going to be fired or something. So we're going to make it a little more something you'd have to watch the show to get. It's today's keyword is haircut.
You got to really show their super fans out there, Bill.
Yes. DM it to either the PHLY Flyers Twitter or the PHLY Flyers Blue Sky account. And I'm going to pick one. You've seen how we do it on whatever our next studio show is. Reach into the bucket, pull out the name. Boom, you're the winner. It's that simple. I write all the names down on paper and pull one out. It's very easy. We've had 2 winners so far, and this will be our 3rd. Keyword haircut. DM it. All right. Let's get to today's Tankathon spin. That's right. You know we love the Tankathon spin, and the victory today moves the Flyers. They're back into the 5th spot, right? Yeah, they are at 5. Buffalo moves back into the 4 hole. 460 points percentage for Philly. Buffalo, 3 games in hand still, a 458. So you didn't kill yourself today in terms of the odds, but it would have been nice to lose this one. They don't. So here we are at 5. Brenna, spin that wheel.
Tank.
All right, they remain at 5, which is on the outside of acceptable. I did one right before we went. Right before we went live, and they fell to 7. And that's really the key. Like, as much as moving up and it increases your odds to move up, it's the fact that your odds to move down are so strong. If you do move down, you want it to not be to 7 or 8, and that's the fear.
Well, Bill, I just ran Tankathon myself.
And you won.
We got numero uno, baby.
Look at that. So
number 1, San Jose 2, Chicago 3, Nashville 4, Buffalo 5.
So all outcomes represented here. A
Yes.
move up, a stay the same, and a move down in our spins. But that is today's Tankathon spin. And I want to get to Super Chats in a minute. But, Steve, we haven't really talked about coach stuff. And that conversation is going to start this week. I'm putting a list together of guys I think could be or are potential candidates.
All ex-Flyers.
Of course. Yeah. Well, actually, one of I put out on Twitter last night because I was like I was just chilling, didn't really have anything to do last night. So I'm like, all right, let me look into this a little.
You're
and
like, Luke Richardson.
Yeah. Oh, he's on the list.
Dan McGillis, the entire Dan line.
I told Charlie and Kelly, all right, I have my 2 guys, and I'm going to reveal them on the shows this week. I texted them to them just in case anyone else comes out and is like, those are the guys I want. No, I said it first. I'm going to give you my top 2 candidates.
Ooh, spicy.
Alexei Zhamnov and Sergei Fedorov. Those are my guys.
Wow.
Zhamnov is a coach in the KHL currently. He coached the Russian Olympic team in 2022. I think it makes sense. Former Flyer. Let us not forget the Blackhawk down line.
I cannot forget that. That's a good pull. That's a good pull.
So he is part of the family, which we know is very important. And Sergei Fedorov, he 3 years as
he's part of the family that killed us.
Yeah, exactly. And 3 years as a KHL coach. His first 2 wins the Gagarin Cup or whatever the hell it's called. And then 3rd year gets eliminated in the first round, and Siska doesn't renew his contract. So he's just out there. Stanley Cup champ. We all know Sergei Fedorov, obviously a legend to what we would, he has to be a legend in the mind of our superstar, our budding superstar himself.
He does
Matvei
respect
Michkov.
a legend. He respects
So
a legend.
these are my guys. These are who I'm going with. This is who I want them to hire. I think the chances of it are low, to say the least.
Yeah.
But it's who I am going to be banging the table for over the coming weeks and maybe months before we have a coach named. Now, my first question to you, do you think it can be Bradshaw? Do you think he has a chance to hold this job beyond these, final 8 games or whatever he's going to get?
Now, Bill, just backtracking quickly on your 2 choices. I always respect that you think outside the bun when you're thinking about these things. Like, Bill is just galaxy braining this stuff, and I love it. But going to Bradshaw here, I like Bradshaw a lot. I've had a podcast conversation with him before. Pleasure to talk to. Like, really good hockey mind. Really like the way he has worked the aggressive power play with the Flyers. Hasn't worked out as well this year as it did the previous season and the season before that. But like overall, like I like what he's brought to the table. I like the role he's played in kind of cleaning up the game of some of these defensive guys. Jamie Drysdale's like a night and day player from what he was at the beginning of the season. Ristolainen is a whole new man. You might as well the old Risto never existed. The new Risto is all there is, except he's also disappeared from this planet. But I like Shaw a lot. I think he brings a good positive attitude from what I've seen. I think he's got, again, some good defensive strategies. I like the way he thinks of the game. But I would be very surprised if he was the next full-time head coach at the end. The thing for me is who's available and who do you feel good about in the interviewing process? If you don't feel good about any of these candidates right now, and Shaw's down for like maybe a limited run, like a year audition, kind of like a Rob Thompson thing, I'm cool doing something like that. But if there's like a Mike Sullivan available or something, like somebody that's a slam dunk in your mind as Danny Briere, I think you have to go with that.
We just like the idea, because we've kind of been connecting the dots on Sullivan like almost since John Tortorella got hired. Like Tort's disciple, Torts now was his assistant at Four Nations. You know, they're similar guys, and it really, you got to imagine Mike Sullivan is going to be available after this season. You know, like you really just got to believe that that's the way it's going to go.
Going bad in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, they just lost. They just lost to Buffalo by this score.
Do the Pittsburgh Penguins suck really bad?
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
I think it was 7-3. They actually lost to Buffalo.
It was bad. I looked at that score and I went, that's great.
But like, I do wonder though, like looking at what this team is, and maybe they make some additions this offseason. They get a goalie. They take a swing on a center, they draft in the top 5, and that guy makes the team, Jet Luchenko. And so you do kind of have the core to go forward with, but we know that coach shelf lives are really short in the NHL. If you bring in a guy now. Like, you bring in a guy now. Is he the guy 3 years from now when you actually can contend for a cup? I would be surprised.
I would be surprised too. I mean, well, it depends. Like, some of the guys I've heard out there, I've heard names like, number one, Rick Tocchet. I'm not feeling it. Just also, I want to get away from Flyers alumni. I also don't really love what's happened in his locker room in Vancouver. That doesn't seem like a great sign to me. But I've heard names like, I never heard this name before the other day. Frankly, when people say Carl, I was like, is Matt Carl coaching now? But David Carl's a name I've heard a lot of, very respected at the college level. What I'm into as far as the Flyers coach, and I know it didn't work with Dave Hackstall, but that doesn't mean that's always going to be the case.
That can't be the reason you don't do it.
Yes. College coaches intrigue me because they're new voices. The NHL, one of the biggest problems with NHL coaching is it's the same 32 guys over and over, just rotating positions. Let's try something new, okay? Let's try somebody who hasn't done it at the NHL level before, and I'm cool like trying something new. I'm also trying like maybe a retread that maybe didn't get that fair a shake their first time around, somebody with a little less experience, but no more of these Alain Vigneaults, no more of these John Tortorellas. Like, I'm done with those guys. Let's try some new stuff.
I think in my top 5 is Peter Laviolette. You're out on that.
I am out on Peter, and I love Peter Laviolette. Mr. Timeout, chomping that gum, punching Ville Leno in the head. That's actually where the Billy Bano clothing line came from, was getting punched in the head by John Tortorella.
I've thought about it, and I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. Like, I have other candidates.
I'm out, dog.
But I'm just sitting there watching Buffalo today with Lindy Ruff, and I'm like, how is this a thing? How is this their decision?
That man needs to retire.
And I think there is a difference. Like, Lavi was here, 5 years, maybe?
I think it was less than that, because I think one of the years when you're looking at like the years on the NHL or the Flyers coaching list, one of the years
he's
is like the 3 games.
What
a farce.
It was December of 2009. He comes in and he's fired 3 games into 13-14.
I think it was
not even like it wasn't 5 years. So it's a little different.
Like, clearly you had it on your mind that you were thinking about canning him. Why not just do it when you have the full base of coaches to hire? No, I think we're just going to roll with Berube and see what happens. And it kind of worked out.
Worked out for Berube.
It did work out for Berube.
Bryn, before we get to super chats, you have to show this poll because it's so damn funny. We put a poll in the chat. Should the Flyers have won this game? We got over 200 votes, and it's split right down the middle, 50-50.
That's awesome.
That is absolutely incredible. All right, let's hit the super chats. All right, we have a few here. First one from a friend of the show. It's Dan Knightley. I'm baffled people think this late season surge is a good thing. Worst possible outcome. So happy Tippett decides to score. Useless.
Decided.
Yeah, the winning isn't the good thing. Matvei Michkov looking like he's going to be something real special is. Like, our continued entertainment via the young players who are probably going to be here, that's good. If they had lost 8-7 today, that would have been better. Like, this is disappointing, but also there is a lottery, and we've seen it go the wrong way a lot.
My thing is also, there's 82
Flyers went 22
games.
and 60 and didn't get the top pick.
There's 82 games of this that we have to watch every year, right? And if I'm not having fun when they do cool things, why am I watching? Right? Like, it sucks for the tank. Yeah. The overall franchise outlook, you want them to tank out and get a better pick this year. But I also just want to see Matvei Michkov do cool stuff. And he did some super cool stuff today. The 2-on-1 took that shot. How many shoot? Come on. Like, nobody shoots on this team for years. And he takes the shot. He has that crazy backhand. He does magic stuff. I'm never going to be mad about Matvei Michkov doing magic stuff.
But that Predators game, they need to drop that one.
Dude, I would actually scratch him for that game. Scratch me.
Imagine if Shaw scratches him.
That would be hilarious.
What if they just scratch? They scratch everyone for the home games. Yeah. It's like, we don't have any guys.
I mean, look, you can scratch Mish and the entire Forrester Cates brink line, and you'd probably be in good shape for the tank.
All right, and now we are headed to overtime. That's right. Head to allphly.com to keep watching. So we finish up the super chats here. This one from Corey. Corey says, Mish snuck back into the Calder race. I think he's doing more. If he is the goals and points leader, it's going to be tough to keep him out of as a finalist.
I'm going to check Bet365 again to see if the odds have been revised.
I wonder, like, if Calgary doesn't make it, does that suddenly, all right, nice season, Dustin Wolf, but this whole thing was about, and you took that team to the playoffs and they're no good. Like, once you don't, like Torts last year. Yeah, if you get into the playoffs, you were the Jack Adams winner. But you fell apart down the stretch, so you're not a finalist. Like, I think that's kind of how it goes for Dustin Wolf, and then we'll see the order. But, like, if Lane Hudson, if a defenseman leads rookies in scoring, I think he has to win it. But right now, like, we're talking all of a sudden again, Mish getting to 30. Like, and it's 7 games left. He needs 6 goals. But I don't know. He's got 2 in back-to-back games, so it's possible.
He's tied for the lead on his team in goals as a 20-year-old rookie. He might score 30 as a rookie. Like, you have to consider it.
I think he's a finalist.
I think he's a finalist. I would love to see him win it. I think it's ridiculous that this storied franchise, say whatever you will about the past 15 years, still a storied franchise, has never won a Calder. I really thought this was going to be the year, but, like, it's going to be tight. I do think what Hudson has done is very impressive, but he's back in the conversation as the
craziest one to me is Ron Hextall, who obviously it's voted on before the playoffs, but wins the Conn Smythe, but also wins the Vezina.
He voted the
best goalie, so he's the best player at his position, but somehow another rookie was better. That's insane to me. But.
If I will say, if Wolf was a Vezina finalist and didn't win the Calder, that I would say, like, that's insane.
He's having a nice season, but you look at his ranks, it's like, he's not like a top 5 goalie.
Yeah,
he's just pretty good. Yeah.
He's good on a lousy team.
And that team stinks.
That's the thing. Michkov is doing this all on a team that's pretty lousy. He is the second leading scorer on the team. He is the leading goal scorer. He's tied for leading goal scorer. Like, what he's doing is massively impressive.
All right. From our pal JH says, looking forward to Matvei Michkov falling further in Calder odds while leading rookies for scoring and now tying Hudson for points. Yeah, it was very funny what happened after that Montreal game. Something tells me there will be a major adjustment, perhaps after all action today, maybe just later, but I'm going to guess like around 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, we're going to see much different odds than we saw the last 2 times we put them up on your screen. It has to be, right? All right, from Vince Pellegrini, what up, boss? Team looks great, excited for next year. And I do think that is maybe something to this. All right, well, what if they're a high-flying offense or something next year? Like, they make a couple of ads, and they're still not, like, great, obviously, but Michkov and TK are both well over point-a-game guys, and they get at least some semblance of a center who can play, 20 minutes a game on a top line that isn't Sean Couturier. They get one of these picks, Jet Luchenko. There is reason to at least feel next year can be an entertaining season, if not like a successful one.
I think next year could be a lot of fun. I mean, it's going to be an interesting damn offseason. They got 3 first-round picks, and a lot of people are convinced they're not going to use all 3. So
I would be surprised if they make 3 first-round picks and if they make 7 picks in the first, 2 rounds. That would shock me.
There are a lot of X factors with this team heading into next year. The big thing is we have Matvei Michkov. We have Tyson Forrester. Bobby Brink showed some great strides this year. And we'll talk about this when we wrap the whole season up. But, like, there are a lot of things to look forward to. It all starts with MM39, though.
Yeah, that's it right there. It's Mish. All right, from VO Noob. Michkov 2-goal games the rest of the year. Let's effing go. What if he did? What if he just after they fire Torts, it's like, actually he was holding me back. He was holding me back huge, and he just he's the greatest goal scorer of all time, basically.
I don't know that many NHL fans would be that surprised by that. I mean, Tortorella's got a reputation around this league for a reason.
He certainly does. All right, another one here from Vince. He says, why not us? I guess they are technically not mathematically eliminated, so they live another day in the playoff race. From Borfus, I love saying his name.
Oh, the best. I love Borfus.
Bill, your hair, why? Lush locks are gone. It's getting hot, man. It's getting hot. I didn't know if I could do another summer. It's time for a little bit of a change. You know, you gotta keep everyone on their toes.
It is a hot
it'll
one.
grow back. It's hair. It'll grow back. And from one here from JH, a coach that learns their mistakes and admits it. I just fell to my knees in a Wawa. Yeah, that's Charlie said. So Bradshaw kind of apologized to Ayers with the lead. Putting the 5-man, the 5-forward power play unit out there. No, I mean, John Tortorella did apologize to his goalie once, but it was Felix Sandstrom after totally throwing him under the bus, and then he had to come out the next day and backtrack. So I guess that's a little different than what Bradshaw did here.
Do you think he apologized to Cam York?
And I think that is it. Yeah, that's it on the super chats. No, I don't think he apologized to Cam York. I would be shocked by that.
Interesting time, friends.
This has been PHLY Flyers Postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be back Monday with that pre- and post-game for the Predators. And then we have a whole bunch of games. It's a very odd schedule to start April. Flyers are off. So we have a bunch of 4 p.m. shows. And then until that Saturday game against those Montreal Canadiens that we're going to be there for. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I hope you guys have a great time. I'm so jealous of that trip.
Kelly, Charlie, and Bryn will be up in Montreal for that. So make sure you tune in. But that's it for us. Make sure you're following us right here on YouTube. Hit that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. Check out Steve on Flyperbole. It's pretty good. All right, I'm Bill Matz. That's Steve Jaco. Until next time, I don't know. Let's go Michkov.
Go Tank.
We all silly like the mayor.